All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Cup Series here at Richmond, at Kansas. Gotta get the track right. I'll say this is gonna be say 40 laps. About this sounds like it's gonna be the fuel run. Say the trick here though is gonna be that line that you gotta run. They're gonna be up on the high line. Say up on the up in the points though. Larry Yingling in the lead, 54 points over Chad Wilkes in second. Say, however, I got a really good fight here for the second position between Chad Wilkes, Maxwell Caldwell, and Brandon Pasalacqua. Say just 10 points between the three of them. In fifth, we got David Payton. And 6th through 10th, you've got Andrew Pleshy, Todd Merkel, Jim Brooks, Robbie Richards, and Jack Walls. Drivers finishing up their qualifying laps again. This is going to be race number 10 of 12, so after tying just 2 more races, I'll say for Larry Yingling, obviously things looking good for him. His goal here is to try to have some solid races, no mistakes till the end, and I say he's going to be able to hopefully celebrate a Season 6 championship here at Green White Checker TV. But like I said, though, you never know how these things will end. We've definitely seen some big point swings before, so for his case, I'll say hopefully not the case, but we know Chad and Maxwell Brown definitely not going to give up and try to chase that gap down. Alright, with that, qualifying has completed here. So let's go over our starting grid for tonight's event. Say doing exactly what he needs to do to try to lock up this championship. Larry Yingling gets the pole position for tonight's event. In second, you've got Chad Wilkes. Third, Maxwell Caldwell. Fourth is Jack Wallace. In fifth, Brandon Pasalacqua. Robbie Richards. Sixth, Bud Steele. Seventh, and David Payton rounding out our top 8. 9th through 16th, you've got Andrew Pleshy, James Ledford, Kyle Hess, Roy Grandy, Michael Spell, Nicholas Winook, Dean Wilkinson, and Paul Patterson. And 17th through 19th, you got Dwight Plush, Jim Brooks, Carter Talley rounding out our 19 drivers this evening. Actually, it's looking like Carter Talley didn't take the grid, so actually it might be the 18 cars here tonight. And say, obviously, before we get things going, one thing to mention about this track, though, say that differentiates this one apart from pretty much all the others in iRacing is you're not going to see these drivers here. They're not going to want to run the bottom, run that white line like we see week in, week out with most series. So after a couple laps, if that, we're going to see all these drivers rim riding, and that's really where trouble can kind of catch these drivers out, because you're going to be kind of pinned up on that top side, right up against that wall. And that's where danger really sets in. So if someone gets a little bit too aggressive, catches that outside wall, it's going to suck you into it, and then the car behind you is going to be in a bad spot as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Say that you never know how these things will turn out, though. So we'll see up front, though. Larry Yingling, Chad Wilkes waiting for that green flag to fly, and we will get this race underway. Scheduled distance 100 laps as we get underway here at Kansas Speedway. Larry Yingling on the pole, right next to Chad Wilkes in that second position. Larry able to clear off of turn number 2. He holds the bottom here, protecting the inside line. So it looks like drivers thinking they can hold that inside for at least a lap or so while they still build up speed. Oh, you see Maxwell Caldwell loose on the inside line. Going to hang on to it, though. However, it's going to cost him some momentum, and you can see right away Chad Wilkes, Brandon Pasalacqua, they're all going to try to pin that 94 to the inside. And I think that's what you're going to see here. Like I mentioned again, I think that top line is definitely going to be the preferred line. It's just whether or not, or when that line really kind of comes in on that top end. Maxwell fighting hard on the inside, trying to stay in touch here and try to see if he can get himself up onto the top groove. As again, you're going to start seeing these drivers start cycling a little bit more slowly but surely here to the top. So we'll keep an eye on. You see Maxwell does get to the outside now. Chad Wilkes, he's going to try to get to the low side here. And you can see Larry, he's kind of just running the middle groove actually at the moment here. So if you can see Chad Wilkes completes the pass there. So Chad's going to jump up to that second position. Just behind them, though, you got Brandon Pasalacqua, but still a good fight here for that 4th and 5th position between the two of them. And then just a little further back is Robbie Richards. He's also going after here, running kind of again that running that much as he's trying to compete there, try to get around the 83 of Jack Walls. I was saying then Jack's got the 82 of Andrew Pleshy, just right on the back spoiler of that car. See, Bud Steele's able to get to the outside of Brandon Pasalacqua, grab that 4th position for the moment. Brandon's going to try to work back on the inside line, but as you can see, we're on lap 5, and it looks like everybody's starting to try to slide their way up to the top. It's Andrew Pleshy. He's trying to see if he can complete this pass here in Jack Walls. So he's going to probably have to try to be aggressive on the entry here into turn 1. You can see he's able to gain a lot of ground, but the advantage you get on these tracks like Kansas with this upper line is you get really big momentum on the exit. However, Andrew Pleshy runs a really good turns 1 and 2 there. He's going to grab that spot. So move Andrew now up into the 6th position. I'd say right now he and Bud Steele actually some of the biggest climbers at the beginning point of this race. Bud going from 7th to 4th, Andrew going from 9th to 6th here. So Say +3 for each of those drivers to keep things off here. So say, we'll see if we can find an angle to show you. What you're going to see, though, is pretty much a convoy, I feel like, up on the top side. Although, again, as I say, that Larry Yingling's going to prove me wrong yet again. So he's going to still run that middle line, but so you're going to see most of the field here. I think they're going to feel more comfortable running that top groove. That's where the momentum is, and you get a lot more speed on the exit doing that versus running it really low to the inside. So you see Chad Wilkes, he's kind of running that seam there towards the top, not right up against the wall, but definitely running that upper groove. As you can see, the seams there in the track down the backstretch, and that's something you do use as a reference point. So you can see right there, Chad's kind of in that last seam, if you will, on the top. So he's not really kind of right up against the edge of the wall. However, staying close enough, though, as they give himself a little bit of some wiggle room just to play here. Is fine. He's trying to get to the outside here of Brandon Passalacqua. This would be for the 5th position. And you can see right there, he's going to get to the outside, and he's going to be able to clear that 21 car. And it's, again, a really big head of steam down the back here, trying to chase down now that 6 of Bud Steele. You see Bud just nicks the wall, gets hooked on it a little bit, and it's going to open the door for Andrew. Andrew's going to jump to the inside. So they try to take advantage of that little bit of a momentum loss for the 6th car, and he does. So now Andrew Pleshy up to 4th. So plus 5 spots since the start for the 82 car. So a great start for Andrew Pleshy here. Maybe not the qualifying lap he wanted there, but really getting the job done here on these opening laps. So now Andrew's next goal here is to try to catch back up to this lead pack. So you can see Larry Yingling, Chad Wilkes, Maxwell Caldwell, all about a couple tenths off of each other. Say about 3 tenths or so between each driver here. Kind of an even little gap between the 3 of them right now. So I say Andrew's going to have a ways to get up to them here. And I say that again, also the next part too, we talked about the fuel, and it's going to be about 40 laps is what you can go on fuel. And we saw last week the pit strategies. The driver that pitted later seemed like they had a big advantage, so I'm not sure if that's going to be the case again here or not. I suspect it would definitely play a role in it. I say looking at lap times already, these lap times have fallen off a full second after 10 laps, so we'll definitely keep an eye on the lap times as well. So right now, the fastest laps are in the 29.9s, 29.8s, and then most of the front group here are now running in the 30.9s to the 31.0s. So yeah, so a full second drop off for these first 10 laps or so. We'll jump around a little bit here. You see you got some battling going on. I'll say now it's kind of split into 2 groups here now. You got Brandon Passalacqua leading that second pack of cars here. He's got Bud Steele there. He's got Jack Walls, Robbie Richards, and then David Payton right there. He's trying to get this inside line to work here. But again, it's going to be very challenging to try to complete a pass down on the inside line. And say where he is right now, I mean, this is the spot where you can make those risks. So you can get to the inside line. If you don't make it, you're not going to be hurt too much because you can fall back and line up on the top side. However, say you have to be careful not to, if you start getting traffic behind you, that's where they'll start kind of closing that door on you. As you can see, actually coming up behind you, starting to close that gap. Here is that 18. Roy Grandy, and actually, as I said, that Michael Spell just getting around him. I believe that was for the 10th position. But then look right there behind, here comes Kyle Hess in the 86. So this is the next group here. Y'all see Jim Brooks right there in that mix. I think I just saw James Ledford a little bit right behind him in the 48. And also Nicholas Smith in the 33 right in this group here. So it's kind of I was going to say kind of the third pack, but as you can see, they've actually kind of brought themselves up into this pack. You see the 18 catches the wall entering turn number 1. Not sure if there's any contact on the entry or not between 2 of those drivers. As you see, Kyle Hess, he has a moment there on the exit of turn number 2. And that's going to slow that process, or that progress up a little bit for him. So let's go up the door for Jim Brooks to try to send it here on the inside. But you'll see right here, he's going to be able to slide up and get in front of Kyle Hess. And I was going to see if Kyle tries to do a crossover, but he's going to hold steady. So Jim Brooks going to take advantage of that, grab a couple spots in that one lap, go from 13th to 11th there, and just from those 2 little mistakes by those 2 drivers. That's kind of what you run into when you run the wall here up at Kansas. You see, I think I just caught the 12. Robbie Richards just kind of maybe flirting the wall a little bit. Definitely slowed his speed a little bit. You see Bud Steele, I think, just saw him catch the wall just a little bit as well. So right now this track definitely starting to be difficult for some of these drivers here, and that's kind of what we suspected we would see here tonight. See, Michael's going to try to take another look here to the inside of that 12. You see, it's got him just about cleared on the entry. And this is going to be kind of more, I think, what you're going to see is, again, I mean, I suspect we'll definitely see some give and take still. But I think we will see kind of the equivalent of a slide jump, if you will, or someone gets to the inside, tries to slide up to that middle top groove, and then kind of use that top groove to get that speed on the exit. So it's a risk versus reward move for sure. However, you can see that 88 able to make it happen there. That last time by just catches the wall there now off of 2. That's going to cost him some momentum. Now Robbie Richards is going to try to follow that right on back by here. So he's going to enter low here, and we'll see if he does the same thing on the exit. You can see he slides up as well. You can see the slight momentum advantage for the 88, but not enough. So Robbie Richards is going to grab that spot back and put himself back in that 9th position. So back up front, Larry England, he's starting to sneak away just a little bit over Chad Wilkes. You can see gap is about a full second between the two of them. And then Maxwell Caldwell, he's about to start having a mirror full of that 82 of Andrew Pileshi. And we mentioned Andrew's gone from 9th to 4th here in these opening laps, and has been able to close the gap here on the 94 Maxwell Caldwell. So again, like I mentioned, a great start for him in that 82 machine. 21 Brandon Passalacqua. He's kind of running his own little race right now. So he's got a couple seconds in front of him. Got about a full second behind him to Jack Walls there in 6th. So he's in a nice little pocket here. Let's say just kind of focus on the track in front and saying what we'll do here is actually just hop on board with this number 21 car so you can kind of get an idea of how they have to run this track running up by the wall here through the turns. And you can hear, even though they're up by the wall, he's just barely breathing it there on the eggs in 1 and 2 there, just enough to get the car to rotate and then immediately back onto the throttle. You can hear it again there, just enough of a lift, and then stomps right back on it. And so that's going to make it that much more difficult with this, again, with this higher downforce, lower horsepower package. You're going to be there's a lot of throttle time here. And so it's just going to amplify any mistake you make. It's just going to put that much bigger pressure to not make a mistake here. So, like I said, we're going to go back a little bit. We'll take it to Jack Walls. He is under heavy fire now from the 38 of David Payton. These drivers in 6th and 7th respectively. And then jump back to Bud Steele, say, because they built a little bit of a gap over him in that 6 car. As actually you can see, Jim Brooks, he has now gotten around. So Jim's starting to make his way forward. Right now is the biggest climber of this race. Started in the 18th position, now up into the 9th spot. So great start for Jim there. So now his next target's going to be to try to catch that 6 of Bud Steele here. And so what we might be seeing too is just a little bit of the strategy calls on how quick you maybe try to push early, and then try to see about maybe the pace falling off, because you can see Larry starting to just put a pretty big gap now on the 17 of Chad Wilkes. And Chad's actually starting to fall back into the clutches of that 94 and the 82 here. Right now, really good fight here between a couple of these cars here, just outside the top 10. We got the 12 again of Robbie Richards, Nicholas Winook in the 33, 86 of Kyle Hess there as well. You can see Nicholas just able to sneak to the outside of the 12 of Robbie Richards. That's going to give him the preferred line here up on the outside. You can see Robbie's not able to actually send it in deep there, so that's going to open the door here for that 33. Again, mentioned again the strategy and the preferred lines and everything. So this will be one of those races, if you're a lap down, actually, the leaders are going to be wanting you to actually kind of stay on the inside line so you can keep that top side and keep your momentum up. So again, just kind of just the opposite of what you would suspect as you would see at these other races. So looking at the lap times Up front, pretty equal right now. Larry Yingling in the 31.7 or 31.6, and then actually a lot of these other drivers, and actually Bud Steele, he's going to hit the pits early here in that 6 car. Actually does have some damage to the right side, may have caught the wall a little harder than he was hoping to, and maybe feels like he's just going to have to take a pit stop here. Say this is only 26 laps in, so the only thought I have is maybe Bud's going for the 3-stop strategy. I think everybody else can go on a 2-stopper, getting to that lap 33 mark or so to make it a 2-stop race. Like I mentioned, the fuel window I believe is right at around 40 laps. However, Bud Steele is going to opt to do a slightly earlier strategy in his car, so unfortunately that will put him a lap down right now. First car, only car I should say, a lap down. So he will have that going for him in case of a caution. And saying with that, this is going to give that 76 of Jim Brooks another position, move him plus 10 from 18th to 8th. So again, nice start for that 76 car as well. I was mentioning lap times though, so right now leaders in the 31.6s, 31.7s. Pretty equal between a good chunk of the group here. Larry Yingling ran a 31.66 that last time by. And so I'm trying to wait for the time to update a little bit. Andrew Pleshy ran a 31.69, so only a couple hundredths off. So again, that number 82 car still having some pretty good pace in it. Everybody else is in the 7s or 8s by not a huge gap. But actually, looking back, the 76 car I mentioned, Jim Brooks, 31.67. So he's running right now pace pretty comparable to Larry Yingling. So I think maybe some tire savings on that 76 car. It's able to really show as this run progresses here. Jump back a little bit again. So they still have a pretty good fight right around the top 10. Nicholas Winnock in that 10th spot at the moment in that 33. However, again, you can see Kyle Hess right there, Robbie Richards, James Ledford. And that's the thing, is that's where you are in these races. Any little mistake, you're going to bring somebody right back up into you here. Again, like I talked about, the high downforce, low horsepower package. Again, a lot of throttle time tonight here at Kansas, even as these tires wear. We heard earlier on the 21 car of Brandon Passalacqua, just very minimal lifting right now. So, but right now, Bud Steele, like you mentioned, he made a pit stop, so he's running over a second and a half quicker than these leaders. So say obviously right now he's got the fresher tires, but at some point those tires are going to equalize after a handful of laps, and so that's that risk versus reward strategy, because right now he's still about a half a lap down of the leader to get back to get that lap back, I should say. So yeah, still a long ways to go for him. We'll jump back to this fight for the 6th position. Jack Wells, David Payne still holding pretty solid here. So you got the battle of the motor oils right now, Pennzoil versus Valvoline. Say both running the Camaros though, so say they got that similarity going on. But so right now, Jack Wells started 4th, running 6th. David Payton from 8th to 7th. So both these drivers running just about where they started in the race tonight. And saying also, like I mentioned, lap times, pace, pretty much right on par with each other. But again, I'm still watching lap times, and Larry Yingling's running 31.7s. Chad Wilkes ran just about the exact same thing, and then Jim Brooks ran a 31.67. So again, just a little bit quicker than that 76 car. I mean, the only problem for him is he's about 10 seconds off the lead just from where he started in the race. Let's say he started again in the 18th spot, so lost a lot of time in the beginning portion of the race. But as this run has gone on, he has definitely picked up some pace in that 76 car. He kept the tires underneath him, and he's got some really good speed in that 76 car. Another one we mentioned, Andrew Pleshy, looks like he is still running very strong here from 9th to 4th in pretty short order at the beginning. So now that we're already at a third of the distance down in the race here, 34 down, 67 to go here. Andrew Pleshy starting to put some more pressure on the back of that 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. So again, watching lap times, not a huge change. So everybody's within about a 10th or so on this lap time right now. However, we're up into now the upper 31 second lap, so we're about 2 seconds a lap slower since when they kicked off. So again, you can kind of see the progression of how fast these tires are falling off. It seems like pretty much every 20 laps is about a second or so. So it looks like when we get to that lap 40 mark, we'll probably see these drivers in the upper 31s, maybe even in the 32s. And so again, Bud Steele still running over a second faster here in that 6 car, trying to get some of that track position back from his. I say he's going for an alternate pit strategy. Again, we'll have to see if it'll work out, if it's enough pace to be gained. And actually, as I say that, I see one of our first green flag pit stops taking place now. The 76 of Jim Brooks tries to get it slowed down there, gets his pit speed before the line. Also bringing a few more with him here. The 33 Nicholas Winook, he's hitting the pits, as is the 88 of Michael Spell. Again, the fuel window is about 40 laps, so we're not too. This isn't a too early of a stop here. But say these drivers are going to try to pit a little earlier, see if it's going to pan out for them. But right now, it looks like most of the rest of the pack here is all going to stay out and keep going. And again, like I mentioned last week, we noticed again the tire strategy. It seemed like going longer was kind of the way to go. So we'll see if that comes into play again tonight. If these drivers maybe again kind of try to play chicken, if you will, to who's going to be the last one to make a green flag pit stop, and see if that little bit of fresher tire as the run goes on plays dividends for them or not. Still watching Andrew Pleshy pressure that 94 Maxwell Caldwell. I say, like I said, lap times again still running just within hundreds of each other here, lap in and lap out. And that's where it becomes difficult. You can get there, but it's hard to make the move. And that's where you see these drivers start to make these pit strategy calls to try a short pit or something like that, to maybe try to find their way to move a little bit further forward here. Same thing goes with that 83 and the 38. They're still here locked on together in that now 6th and 7th positions between the two of them. As I just see the 14 Paul Patterson, he hits the pit road there. So Paul going to hit the pits here. And say he's going to make his first scheduled pit stop of the evening. Trying to keep an eye, make sure nobody's going to say it's hard to catch you the pit site. However, one thing I'm going to mention though, we talked about again how early Bud Steele pitted here. Say Bud right now is slowly but surely closing that gap over Larry Yingling, but I'm now looking compared to the next person that pitted under green, which was the 76 of Jim Brooks. I see the 55 in the pits now. That's Dean Wilkinson. He's going to hit the pit road from just outside the top 10. But Bud's has a very big gap between himself and that 76 of Jim Brooks here. So actually, as I say, the leaders all hitting pit road here on lap number 40. So I'm saying it looks like it's bringing everybody here. So I think this is the fuel window. Not too many others are going to go any further. So Larry Yingling going to lead the leaders into the pits here. We got the 12 though and the 48, Robbie Richards, James Ledford. They're able to stretch another lap here. However, it looks like the rest of the field is hitting the pits now. So keep an eye on how these pit stops go for our leaders. And we're going to see where everybody cycles out as well, because I think that's going to be curious to see how it all shakes out. You see Larry Yingling gets a great stop, and that 67 car is going to put a pretty good gap over that 17 on the exit. Andrew Pleshy, he's going to get some advantage. I'm saying actually, I think in that whole craziness, I missed the 94 Maxwell Caldwell. I believe Maxwell actually stayed out as well. He's in the pits now, so Maxwell going with the stretching, the fuel run. Oh, it's actually, I think Maxwell stretched it too far. You can see he's coasting to the pits here, so that's going to hurt that 94 car track position greatly. So he's going to need a caution here to help himself out to try to bring him back into the mix here. So while everything cycles through, which is going to happen now, is actually going to, we mentioned again, it's going to bring Bud Steele now into the lead here. I say again, like I mentioned, I think Bud opting for the 3-stop strategy over the 2-stop strategy. So we'll keep an eye and see how that's going to pan out for Bud, because now Bud's going to be on about lap 17, coming to 18 on his, since he's last pitted. I say it won't be too long before those fresh tires are going to catch right up to him quickly. You can already see Larry within about a second and a half of that 6 car. A little further back, there's Chad Wilson, 17. He's going to be holding on to that 3rd position. Not too far behind him of Andrew Pleshy. He's now up to the 4th spot. And then I mentioned pitting a little earlier, the 76 Jim Brooks. He's now going to be move up into the top 5 now. However, again, he's got Brandon Passalacqua right behind him at 21 with about 5 lap fresher tires. So this will be a good comparison here to see the lap time and just the pace overall difference between these drivers on the different strategies. And you can see Brandon's going to jump to the inside and try to complete this pass in 1 and 2. We'll see if he can clear him on the exit again. That's going to be the critical juncture, and you see he does. So move Brandon now back up into the top 5, move Jim back into that 6th spot. And back up front, Larry Yingling has taken the lead back over from Bud Steele. Again, Bud on a different pit strategy now, but say Bud's starting to fall fair big back, because right now he's in the 31-second bracket, whereas the leaders are in the mid-31s for Bud, whereas leaders are in the 29s to the low 30s here. So say they're going to start making some pretty quick work again for Bud, but I suspect we'll be seeing him back in the pits in about 5 or so laps, if based on his first pit stop, if he is going for that 3-stop strategy here. And we'll take a look, see who's still together. You see David Payton and Jack Walls, they still are right together on track. However, they've reversed orders now. David Payton in front of Jack Walls. So say the motor oil battle has switched in the opposite direction now towards Valvoline over Pennzoil. These two drivers still having a good fight with each other. You see Nicholas Manook not too far back there in the 33 as well. He's moved his way up into the top 10, up into that 9th position. And then Michael Spell in the top 10 in that number 88. I was about to say, we mentioned Maxwell Caldwell just ran out a little too far in fuel. He's trying to make some of that time lost now back up. Also definitely on fresher tires as well, about 6 laps fresher than those around him here. So he's going to make pretty quick work of the 88, so move him now back up into the top 10. Next on his list is going to be that 33 of Nicholas Manook. So say Maxwell went for that fuel strategy, did not pan out. Unfortunately, just wasn't able to stretch it enough before it ran out of fuel there. So he's, again, like I mentioned, he's going to have a lot of work cut out for him to try to get back up into that position where he was. Like I mentioned, though, with the tires, where he is on the tires, I mean, he's going to start getting a few of these drivers. Already got Michael. Nicholas is next on his list, and then he's going to have the next one to get to then will be the 83 and the 38 Jack Walls, David Payton. It looks like Larry Yingling's put a couple cars a lap down now. He's just been able to knock down Roy Grandy. Dean Wilkinson put them both a lap down. So right now those two are going to be fighting for that lucky dog position. So they both pitted within a lap of each other, so they're on very similar pit strategies right now. So say they're going to see what they can do. Say we're already quickly approaching the halfway mark of this race. Say Larry, as you can see it on the left on the ticker, he's got about a 5-second gap over that 17 of Chad Wilkes here. So Larry doing exactly what he needs to do. Again, try to put kind of the finishing touches and exclamation point on his season here. He's had a very, very strong season. I believe has finished, I want to say, top 5 every race so far. So I'd say he's going to try to finish that off strongly, of course. As we do now just cross the halfway point. And then I'd say, again, about 3 seconds or so back of the 17 is that 82 Andrew Pleshy we mentioned from 9th to 3rd so far in this one. Again, a great job for Andrew making his way up here early. Say now just going to try to start slowly but surely try to close that gap on that 17 car. Up to 4th now, and Brandon Passalacqua just got around Bud Steele there. Say Bud's on lap number 26 here of this run. Looks like he's going to take this one a little further, actually, I say, because we have passed the halfway mark. So I wonder if Bud's maybe trying an alternate strategy where maybe he's going to kind of throw an audible off after that, the first stop, and maybe try to go longer here to make it to get to, let's say if he runs another about 10 laps or so, he can then make it to the end on fuel. So that might maybe be the strategy we see from that number 6 car. And it looks like we mentioned the short pit strategy for the 76 of Jim Brooks. Say he just got passed by both David Payton and Jack Wall, so it pushes Jim now back to that 7th position. And so I think that's what we mentioned. So we talked about pitting later, and it looks like it might be a short-term gain, long-term loss from what I'm seeing here. As we mentioned, we saw Jim able to cycle out in about the 4th position, I believe. But since then, though, unfortunately, he's dropped all the way back now to that to the 8th position, or no, 7th position. Apologies, behind David Payton. I thought Jack Wells is still right there with him, so he's just a second or so behind. Again, though, Jack is on about 5-lap fresher tires, so that's going to be the next one for Jim to have to contend with for position here. Yeah, so you can jump back to Maxwell Caldwell in the 94. He is on a tear. He has made himself back up into the 9th spot, and you can see only about a second off of the 83 of Jack Wells. And saying once he gets there, I mean, he's got about 5 cars, I believe, actually in pretty quick succession. So you'll be able to obviously try to get Jack Wells, and then you've got Jim Brooks, David Payton, Bud Steele. So all these drivers all within about just 2 seconds in front of him. This is kind of one of our closer groups here. So right now, so that's going to be that's where Maxwell's going to have his sights set on to try to again maximize and regain some of the time that he lost after running a little bit low on fuel there and having to coast into the pits. Over to 40 James Ledford. So right now James showing as last car in the lead lap. However, you can see he's got a lot of positions in his reach here as well. You've got the 86 of Kyle Hess, 88 of Michael Spell right in front of him. And then just a little further up the road, again, we mentioned a 33 of Nicholas Winook there in the 11th position. So let's see, there's definitely some positions to be gained here. Right now, Michael Spell is one of those that pitted, again, a little earlier, so he's on a little bit older tires. So as you can see, he's actually down on the inside line here. So that's gonna kind of give the momentum to the outside. You see Kyle Hess, he's gonna try to get that pass done. 48 of James Ledford gonna try to follow suit as well there. He just can't quite get to the outside door of the 88 though before they enter turn 1. Almost caught the wall, it looked like, as well for James there. But now you can see as it comes out of 2, he's going to pick up some momentum here. Again, can't quite get there, but I have a feeling we're going to see that 48 make a move on the 48 make a move on the 88 before too long here. So we'll jump back in as I see Maxwell starting to make his way forward. You can see he's got Jack Wells. He's now just got Jim Brooks. Next on his list, 6 of Bud Steele. So Maxwell working his way back up here, almost back up into that 6th position. So that's kind of, again, what we suspected we would see with him being on those fresher tires. It also probably has a little bit of frustration probably behind the wheel. And saying there's a lot of times when you have that happen, you kind of just are able to push a little harder. I mean, he might be hurting his tires a little bit in the process, but at this point, I mean, he's just going to be going after it here and try to get everything he can. So say once he clears that 6 of Bud Steele, he's going to have to for a little while until he would next card be that 38 of David Payton. However, I must say though, Bud Steele with his short pit strategy, he has held on extremely well. It's like his lap times are starting to really cycle out. It seems like there is about a point when these pit cycles really, the speeds kind of even out here. So I'll say while he's falling back just a little bit here, though, I mean, again, he pitted as early as he did. He's actually still, as I said, he catches the outside wall in turn number 1 and 2. That's going to cost him a bunch of momentum. You see Jack Wells, Jim Brooks, they're both going to try to pounce on this as soon as they have the opportunity. And that's what you see at Kansas, is just as soon as you see someone have that small mistake, you have to try to take advantage of it, because it's difficult to make these passes happen. And you can see they both are able to get it done. Jim just slides in front of that 6 car. Bud's going to try to get back to the inside, but can't quite do it. What I was mentioning, though, is Bud's lap times, though, they've been in the high 31s there. And whereas now our leaders are in the maybe mid 31s. So it looks like that might be about where the fall off kind of holds steady, is in that high 31 second bracket. So say maybe fall off about 2 seconds, and it seems like that's about where it holds even. So like I mentioned for Bud here, he's just about in the fuel window here to make it to the end. So I would suspect we might see Bud here pit in the next couple of laps, and that would put him good to the end on fuel. These other leaders, they can go about, I'd say 15, well, it depends on who pitted when, but say Bud pitted about 10 laps before Jim Brooks, and like I mentioned, though, I'll say that's the gap right there between the two of them. So That really short pit strategy seems like it's actually worked out pretty well for that 6 car. So keeping an eye on lap times. Last time by, quickest car on track was David Payton here in that 38 car, running a 31.4. A couple tenths quicker than those in front of him, Brandon Pasalacqua, Andrew Pileshi. So say David's got some pretty good pace in that number 38 car. So saying not too far behind him on the race pace as well was that for Maxwell Caldwell. As I said, here comes Bud Steele now. He is going to hit the pits and make most likely his last scheduled pit stop of the race. Of course, if anything happens between now and then at the end, I say we'll definitely see more drivers be taking fresh tires to make it to the end here. But I'll say still up front though, like you mentioned, starting from the pole position, leading the laps right now, Larry Yingling, definitely doing exactly what he needs to do, like I said, to kind of put that exclamation point on his season here, and of course going to try to see if he can maybe clinch this thing a race or two early. So Larry just doing a stout job right now, about a 4-second gap still over that 17 of Chad Wilkes. Alright, so 6 of Bud Steele has made his second pit stop of the race. I say that what he doesn't have going for him at the moment is he's actually now 2 laps down from where I'm looking at the timing and scoring here. Double check that. Yeah, it looks like he's showing us 2 down here. I'm saying that, trying to see where he is on track. About a half a lap or so behind, and actually not too far behind 76 of Jim Brooks. He's going to react and do the same here. So looks like we're going to have again some mixed strategies here as he's pitting here with about 35 to go. Leaders can go about 15 more laps, so they could pit here with about 20 to go. So we'll have to see how the strategy is going to pan out for some of these drivers as the pit stops happens. That's going to put the 76 1 lap down as Larry goes on by him there. So I think Jim might be reacting to what he saw Bud do, as it seemed like maybe it panned out for him. Like I mentioned, from where I'm standing, it seems like the running it longer seems to really pan out in the grand scheme of things. You do obviously gain on the short run, but unless you get a timely caution after everything's cycled through, it seems like that long pit strategy is definitely the way to go here. And this will actually be a very good comparison on the fresh tires versus old tires. You can see that 67 is going to come around the 76 here, so we'll hop on board with the 76 as he gets up to speed. But you're going to see the pace difference between the two of these drivers here. You can already see it just through 3 and 4, while that 76 is still getting up to speed. So say this, you're going to see kind of what the difference of a 2-second lap difference between these drivers is going to look like here as Jim and Larry here enter turn number 1. And so that's actually an important pass for the 76 because he was able to get a better pit stop, it looks like, than the 6 of Bud Steele. Like I mentioned, Bud's actually trapped 2 laps down right now. Jim still now just got back to just 1 lap down. But here you can see the gap that the 76 car's already put on with those fresh tires compared to those older tires of the 67 of Larry Yingling. So that's kind of the best example I can give of fresh versus old tires. 80 to Michael Spell, he just made his last pit stop, or scheduled pit stops, I should say, of the race. So right now the field's all pretty spread out at the moment right now. Like I mentioned, Larry Yingling still leading the way here in that 67. He's got about 4 seconds over Chad Wilkes. Chad has started to slowly but surely close that gap in a little bit, a couple tenths at a time here. I'll say, and Chad is very good at making these long runs, keep the speed in that car, so I think that's what we're seeing him do right now. Again, just a couple seconds back of him is that 82 of Andrew Pileshi. And then in 4th, the 21 of Brandon Pasalacqua. So right now, those are the top 4. And Holt rounding out our top 5 still is that 38 of David Payton. David as well running really solid lap times right now in the 31.6s compared to some of those in front of him in the 31.7s. Making his way back up to 6 is the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell, only about, I believe, about 2 seconds off of the 30 of David Payton, so he's definitely brought the gap down. I want to say Maxwell pitted around the 3rd or 4th position, or was running around the 3rd or 4th position around when pit stop cycles happened, so So you can see, I mean, he's definitely lost about probably 10 seconds, I would say, with that running out of fuel. So as he just rubs the wall a little bit there in 1 and 2. Actually looks like kind of stuck on the wall there. Able to get it back off and say, I don't think it's going to harm the car too much here. We'll take a look at the right side. Doesn't look too bad from where I'm seeing. Say where it really hurts is when you kind of just wash up and catch it hard. Say that was kind of just more of a slide against it. You can see a little bit of right rear, maybe around the spoiler damage, but as a whole, I think that car is going to run pretty solidly still. I was saying lap times actually. Let's say we'll keep an eye and see what his lap times cycle through. As obviously that lap time is going to be slower there, but I have a feeling we'll see that lap time pick right back up again. Jack Wall still holding on now in 7th, trying to chase back down that number 94, and say, I'm sure Jack seeing that, seeing Maxwell catch the wall a little bit, probably gave him a little bit more incentive to try to chase down. It's like, okay, I saw a mistake. I can try to keep that pressure on him, see if I can maybe make something happen. So it's a similar thing. They're only about 2 seconds off of each other here, so they're definitely doing what they need to do to try to get this thing done. Let's say fuel window again, about 5-6 more laps on fuel if these drivers can make it, which would put them right around 20 to go here in the race. And I think that's what we're going to see for a lot of these leaders. I don't think any of them want to blink before, basically before the other. As we've seen, it seems like the long run really does pay out if you're able to stretch the fuel and the tires. Here comes the 33 Nicholas Winook. He's going to pit from just inside the top 10 here. So he's going to make his scheduled final stop of the race. So that's going to move Kyle Hess up a position here. And actually right now Kyle's showing as our last car on the lead, about 28 seconds off the lead of the 67 Larry Yingling. Let's say again, Larry just putting down a torrid pace here tonight. So it's kind of one of those things that happens when Larry gets clean air on that nose and able kind of just to control his pace and the race. He's going to be a tough one to beat week in and week out here. So it's going to be interesting. Is going to be seeing where everybody cycles through after these last set of pit stops, because we have a lot of drivers on differing strategies right now. Right now, the only car I should say at the moment's 1 lap down, the 76 of Jim Brooks. He pitted about 10 laps ago, so again, here right now he is the fastest car on track just with those fresh tires. Let's say now with Nicholas Winook getting back on track in the 33 car. Let's see where he cycles through as he gets up to speed. I see a little. Okay, look, I saw a little bit of smoke. You get nervous. It looks like it's a connection issue there. So say it looks like everything's still okay. And so that's going to be the other concern for these drivers is if a caution comes out at an inopportune time. So that's why everybody's, I'm sure, hoping that we get through the cycle cleanly. 12, Robbie Richards, he hits the pit road. He was in the 8th position at the time of pitting. So he's going to give up that spot to make his final stop of the race. I'll say right now, still, again, just looking at the distances between these drivers, to say we'll jump over back to David Payton. So again, it's just got about a second or two over. As I said, you saw Brandon Passalacqua. He's going to hit the pits here, make his final stop of the race. Again, pitting just a couple laps before his fuel window, I think, was actually requiring him to stop there for fuel. And right now, it's really a mixed strategy of tires versus fuel. As you can see, Andrew Pleshy here showing in the 3rd position. And actually, here comes Andrew. He's going to hit the pits as well. You can see he had a lot of traffic slides it there through 3 and 4. And now he's got to get it on the brakes here to get down to pit speed there. So it looks like a few drivers here going a little bit different strategy now. You saw already the first run, they went 40 laps on the dot. This time a few drivers are going to be trying to short pit just by a lap or two. So I suspect where you see Larry already making his way down to the inside. I think we're going to see that 67. He's going to hit pit road from the lead. Larry doesn't really need to take too many risks there. Definitely looks like he got it down nicely to speed there. Chad Wilkes right behind him hitting the pits as well. And I would suspect we'll also be seeing David Payton. And yep, here comes David as well. I was going to say, I think we'll see Maxwell Caldwell. He can probably run another lap as he went long that first one. So he's going to have that extra lap of fuel in that 94 car. So it's going to cycle Maxwell through as our race leader here. And also Jack Wall's in the A3. He's going to go another lap as well. So These two are able to stretch their tanks just a little bit more. Say Jack actually pitting on lap 40 as well, so he's able to stretch a lap this time around. But I have a feeling we're going to see both these drivers here, the 94 and the 83, hit the pits. Here comes Maxwell, and right behind him, yep, here comes here comes Jack as well. So that's going to complete our cycle of green flag pit stops. So now the question is going to be who is going to cycle out where. And it looks like at the moment Larry's going to come back out with the lead once he completes this. Once he basically gets around the lap here after the 94 and the 83 complete their stops. We'll have to kind of see where the positions jockey around basically, and how much difference we have up front. So you see Larry Yingling, he is going to get around. He's going to move back up into lead. Then again, here comes Chad Wilson. Actually, Chad's closed the gap a little bit through that pit stop cycle, and see it's now within about 3 seconds. And this is what I was curious about, the pit strategy for Jim Brooks. Would it get him back to the lead, or would it get him to the lead, I should say, and it does not. He's going to be third for just a moment, now fall back to fourth after Andrew Pleshy gets on by him. So that's going to move Jim now back into that fourth position here. Saying the next on his list that's going to try to chase him down is going to be that 21 of Brandon Pasalaco, who only pitted about 4 laps ago. So that's going to be the question now, is to see where can Jim hold on to maybe a top 5 finish, or are those fresher tires going to be able to chase him back down? Right now, Larry in the middle of some traffic here. You can see he's got the 86 there of Kyle Hess right in front of him. You see Kyle's going to stay high, let Larry jump to the inside line here. Again, only 17 laps to go here. You see Larry, though, immediately wants to get that nice arc entering the turn. So he's going to jump to the top and then bring it back down to the bottom. So you can do that with the fresher tires for a few laps, and then, again, we're going to see everybody find their way back up to the top. However, though, again, Chad Wilkes, he's cut that gap down. And it's, again, you see about 2.5 seconds between the two of them. So the only problem for Chad is right here. You got to be careful. You can see he wanted to try to let that car wash up a little bit. Couldn't quite do it. Had to kind of keep it pinned down a little bit to make sure he didn't get into that 6 there of Bud Steele. So it's going to probably cost him a couple of tenths. And sure enough, you can see it's down now to, it was about 2.6, 2.7. However, now it's showing, it's kind of bouncing around between that 2.5, 2.6 range. Andrew Pleshy still holding solidly in that third position here. He's got a ways to go now, unfortunately. He's got about 5 seconds between himself, 6 seconds actually, between himself and Chad Wilkes. So the only thing that he's got going for him right now, though, is he's in a nice little pocket here. Not a lot of traffic around him in front or behind. You see the 21 of Brandon Pasalaco is not too far behind him. However, he has 1 lap. Andrew has a lot fresher tires than Brandon. So again, it sounds like not a lot, but it actually does come into play. And then Jim Brooks, we mentioned, short pitting there in the 76 car. He's got about 21 laps in his tire, so about 14 more than the guys around him. He's going to have to try to hold on for these final 14 laps and see if he can hang on to a top 5 finish. However, he's going to have his hands full, as you can see. 94 Maxwell Caldwell fighting here with David Payton for position. So these two actually battling for position. This is actually going to be something that the 76 car is going to want to see, because the more they run side by side, it's going to slow their pace down a little bit, and that might help that 76 maybe let his tires kind of equalize to theirs by the time they catch up to him. A great battle here between these two drivers. You can see already David went to the top side. Maxwell, again, he pitted a lap later, so he's got slightly fresher tires, but just isn't able to complete the pass at the moment. At some point, I think he's going to probably have to try to send it in deep into the turn. As you can see, has a pretty good turn entering into one there, and does wash up to the top there, try to protect that line. So we'll see, can David Payton, can he try to return the favor here and kind of it wasn't really a slide job by any means. It was just kind of ran it in and let it kind of come up to the natural exit. But you can see David Payton try to return the job there, but Maxwell able to keep the power down. He's going to hang on to that spot. So move Maxwell now back up to that 6th position. And now he's going to have his set sight on that 76 of Jim Brooks, who I'm sure Maxwell's aware is on a different pit strategy, knows he's going to not quite have the same pace as him. So that's going to be his next goal, is to try to grab that top 5 here. And you can see already at that 76 car, he's going to just kind of cut that underneath him. I said I don't think Jim's going to be able to put up any of a fight, and you can see already Max is going to clear him. So move now, Maxwell back up into the top 5 of this event. So now David Payne going to try to follow suit as well. You see David, he's going to cut to the inside. Oh, you see Jim caught the wall there a little bit on entry, and that's going to cost him a little bit of momentum and just make that job that much easier for David Payton. Gap between 1 and 2 still holding steady at about 2.5 seconds between the 67-17. I'll say both were in a, I wouldn't say traffic by any means, but have some cars around. You see Brandon Paslock. I keep messing up these names. Nicholas Winook right in front of the 17 there, and then Larry had the 86 Kyle Hess right with him. So I'll say the drivers both having to deal with a little bit of traffic around them. Say Kyle Hess actually on pretty much the same tire strategy as these guys, and Kyle's holding on really strong right now behind that 67 car. And I say, obviously, unfortunately, not a lap down, but this is a really good learning experience. If I'm that 86 car, you know Larry is one that's going to be someone to contend with week in, week out. So if you can follow that 67 car, watch what he does, try to learn a little bit what he does. I'll say it's only going to make you that much better. So if I'm that 86 car, I'm using this and just trying to just learn and absorb as much as I can to be able to use that at these next races. See Maxwell Caldwell, David Payne, they're still stuck right on each other here for this 5th position between the two of them. So this is the battle for a top 5 right now. Say also, I believe, one of the closer battles on track here at the moment. Let's say the next one that we're keeping an eye on, though. Oh, you see David catches the wall off of 2. It's going to cost him a lot of time there. So that's going to give Maxwell plenty of breathing room now. But what we're going to see next, though, I think, is going to be, again, that tire strategy. You see Robbie Richards here, we're watching here. He's going to be coming up pretty shortly on that 76 again of Jim Brooks. So you can see we talked about that short-term gain, long-term loss. And so while Jim had the advantage there with those fresher tires, unfortunately, the pace is just starting to fall off of them. He's back down into the 31, mid to upper 31s, whereas a lot of these drivers still running in the low 31s, even some still in the high 30s. And just creeping into the picture is the 83 of Jack Walls. Jack's on a little bit better for tires as well in the 12, so Jack might be able to grab these 2 drivers here and try to get himself back up into that 7th position. As you see, he's going to work to the top of that number 12 car, Robbie Richards. Going to give Jack the lane he wants to be in here. Again, use that momentum as we have already 5 laps to go here at Kansas. So Jack Wall's going to grab that spot from Robbie. Next on his list is going to be that 76 of Jim Brooks. Again, it's only about just over a second between the two of them. So I definitely think that 83 can close that gap between now and the end. So we're seeing the next strategies right now. And as you see, the 12 car just gets a little bit too high there, catches the wall on the exit. So right now, though, Jack Wall's trying to close the gap back up. But up front, say Larry's going to be happy that 86 of Kyle Hess isn't on the lead lap, because Kyle is not going away. He is holding strong behind that 67. And again, have to mention, they're both on the same tire strategies here. So, I mean, I'm sure Larry's making sure he doesn't make any mistakes and keeps that car clean to the end. But again, though, say when you got a car that's just kind of hiding right there on your back bumper there, it always makes, I'm sure, drivers a little bit nervous, just in case you were like, okay, well, don't enter that turn too aggressively now. I don't want you to get into the back of me. But yeah, so right now Larry going to come across here. 3 laps to go here at Kansas. That gap started to stretch back out now to about 4 seconds over Chad Wilkes, and it's another 6 or so back to Andrew Pleshy. So I say right now these drivers doing pretty much, I think right now we're just going to try to get cleanly to the end here. So we're going to try to jump back to check on Jack Walls, Jim Brooks, because that's how we're going to have to jump back to Larry here shortly. But you can see Jack Walls is pretty much there. Say another lap, and I think he's going to start be pressuring that 76 car here for that 7th position. So we're going to jump back over to our race leader here, as he's got a lap and a half to go. Say Larry Yingling's been picking them up and putting them down tonight. He's lapped up to the 10th position. He only got 9 cars left on the lead lap here. saying I won't say anything until he crosses the line here, but we are going to go caution free here at Kansas. So now Larry's just got this one lap to finish here to kind of put the seal on it. So he's not going to lead every lap. However, say if not for pit strategy, say Larry's going to have pretty much a perfect race here, winning the pole, leading the most laps, going to get the win here tonight as well as he comes through 3 and 4 for the final time. That number 67, Larry England, like mentioned, had a picture-perfect season. He's going to continue it again tonight, getting the win here at Kansas. Larry England getting the win there. Second place coming around to the line now is going to be the 17 of Chad Wilkes. And our top 3 is going to finish up here with the 82 of Andrew Pileshi. We'll jump back to the 94 Maxwell Caldwell. He is going to finish in the 5th position. Brandon Paslako is going to be in 4th. And here's that battle for the 7th spot. And actually, Jim Brooks is going to hang on to. He's going to keep this 83 of Jack Walls behind him. So that's going to be that. That was a close battle there at the end. However, getting the win here tonight is that 67. Here comes, say, his competitor teammate, congratulating him there in that number 67. Give him a little bit of boost across the line as Larry England gets the win here tonight at Kansas. All right, so while I'll say we'll keep an eye on Larry, but say what we'll do now is we'll jump around and find our top 3. We'll say pull up some interviews with them. Again, just hats off to the drivers as well. Like I mentioned, going caution free tonight here. That's not an easy task to do. So let's see. We're going to start off here with the 82 of Andrew Pileshi. All right, so we're going to bring in that number 82 of Andrew Pileshi, bringing home in 3rd. Started 9th. You got to the top 5 pretty quickly there, able to make the bottom work before everybody had to find their way up to the top side. And then from there, so I don't know, I say you were definitely, your pace was right there. So you had that same thing, like kind of maybe about a 10th or so between yourself and Chad and Larry. You guys are all right on top of each other. Is there anything you felt like maybe different you could have done, or was it just maybe having to work your tires maybe that little bit harder at the initial stint to that maybe set you back just that little bit to really be able to capitalize tonight, though?
Well, starting as far back as I did, even though I got up front pretty quick, that kind of hurt a little bit, but it was mainly the tires. I suck at saving tires. Even though this is kind of a loose track, you still can melt that right front off really easily. So, yeah, if I had managed the tires a little better on the first run, I probably could have maybe been a little closer, but I didn't have much for Chad, and I sure as hell didn't have anything for Larry.
Yeah, Larry seemed to be kind of in his own zip code tonight. And it's just it's one of those things where it feels like if he gets out front, controls the race, it's tough to kind of get after him there. But I mean, and saying obviously the big thing too with these cars is with Kansas is, I mean, you're up against the wall, and we rode on board with a couple drivers a few times, and there's not much. I say you're pretty much in the throttle the whole time. I say there's just a little bit where you got to lift out of it to get it to kind of turn in there, but after that you're right back into it. I mean, just how stressful is that, having to try to run that wall but use so much throttle at the same time?
Well, it's really fun, honestly. It's hard. It's certainly better than a track where you're sending it in on the bottom and just fighting the whole race, trying to keep the car from sliding up. And it's really easy to beat yourself because you're, like you said, you're on the throttle so much that, like, if you don't pay attention as much, or you can just kind of let it get away from yourself, you find yourself using more and more or too much throttle as the run goes on and the tires go away. So it's really easy to beat yourself and kind of figure out when and where to back it down and, like, maybe use the brakes a little bit or do what you have to do as far as maybe pitching the car in differently or something like that. As you can tell, I'm probably not the best at it, but it came out all right.
No, I mean, yeah, so you had a really good run there. We saw the first run, pretty much all the front runners there. You guys went all the way to lap 4. You pretty much ran the fuel out there. The second run you pitted, I believe, like maybe a lap or two earlier. Was that just to try to see if that maybe that short term game would be enough to maybe grab you back into the draft and make life a little bit more difficult for them, or was it just was that where your fuel window was at the end for that last run?
Made it another lap or two. I just kind of wanted to try it. I figured what I have to lose at this point. If I had it to do over again, I would have done it a lap or two sooner, but I don't know how it would have worked out. Yeah, it was just maybe I was kind of hoping that maybe somehow I'd get the lead from that, and then or be up like maybe a spotter ahead of where I was. Maybe we get a caution or something like that, but that didn't happen. It was just kind of a YOLO move.
Yeah, I mean, say that's something that you got to throw the roll the dice and make a gamble and see if it pays off. But I mean, say in the long run, it didn't really hurt. Like I said, you came in third on that pit stop, came back out third. So, and again, you were definitely one of the top on the pace wise of the race tonight. So I mean, again, like you said, it's just when you've got competition like Larry, Chad, Brandon Maxwell. I mean, it's week in and week out. It's gonna be tough to beat those guys. So, I say to be able to compete with them and where you were tonight. I mean, it's definitely definitely worth the effort tonight as well. Because yeah, they're challenging drivers to be with. As I said, to be able to compete with them is, I said, in my opinion, a pretty job well done in itself.
Yeah, thank you. You're totally right too about Larry. You let him get to the front, it's over. So we lost the race on turn one, lap one. It was like Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You give him that clean air. It's like, oh crap. So you guys will start picking on these last two. So I feel like he's gonna be pretty comfortable on the point side of things. So you have to make him earn it on these last two going into it. But I say that being said, I mean, again, before I let you go, definitely want to give you the floor here. Any thanks shots you'd like to give? Because again, I mean, you did an awesome job tonight. So congrats on that third place, but definitely want to give you the floor here.
Thank you. Well, first of all, shout out to my team. You know, Larry Taylor, all them guys, or Maxwell. Good racing with me, good practicing and everything. And I just want to say hi to old M Bob and Krober and their kitty cat Simon watching it on TV at home. So yeah, have a good night, guys.
Awesome, Andrew. Yeah, congrats again. Great run tonight, man. I say definitely look forward to catching these final two. Hopefully, you'll be able to beat up on Larry and Chad a little bit more, and I'll say we'll get you a first or second place interview. Hopefully,
looking forward to Dover. It'll be fun.
All right, good job again, sir.
Thanks for broadcasting. Have a good night.
All right, that is the 82 of Andrew Pleshing, bringing it home in third place. Again, started in ninth, so he's able to make his way up through the field. Again, quick move early on to get up there. Just didn't quite, I think lost a little bit of pace, lost a little bit of tire wear as well by the time he got to everything. So, however, up into that second spot, you can see him chasing down that leader, Larry Yingling, trying to give him some grief at the finish as well. I say Chad Wilkes finishing in that second spot, right where you qualified. I say you guys were all kind of running all together there, and then it seemed like maybe just the tire wear just maybe hurt your car a little bit. Not sure if it's the dirty air versus the clean air, or take us through your race and maybe what you felt like was kind of hurting your speed in the end there.
Yeah, I mean, dirty air definitely makes a difference. The beginning of the race, I tried to save some tires a little bit. Then I wanted to pull back up to Larry just to essentially just mark them. And I mean, once I got down to 3 or 4 tenths behind him, I got there one time. And I mean, like the first turn, when I got up within half a second, like the front end just completely washed out. And I almost hit the wall. And at that point, I was like, well, I'll pretty much do it, because, you know, once you get that close, and you can't run the bottom that late in a run. So I knew without a caution there's going to be no hope. On a short run, anything could happen. And a couple times there, I figured some things out later on in the race that I wish I'd have known earlier, but it really wasn't. I didn't get a ton of practice. About 5 minutes worth before the race started. But I mean, it wouldn't have mattered, because as soon as I got within half a second, no matter how fast I was, I wouldn't have been able to get past them. So without a caution. So yeah, just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the harder tracks to pass at, I'd say. And also, like, I think the only 1.5 mile track where you're pretty much going to be running the wall after about 5, maybe 10 laps if you're lucky. But I mean, I know iRacing did have the update where supposedly there's like a little bit of that air now difference with the wall. Were you able to kind of feel that cushion when you were riding the wall, or was it still kind of not like for me at least? Like I'm never comfortable going that high. I don't know about you if you usually give yourself like maybe a half a groove or whatever off the wall to play it safe, but did you notice anything different with that?
I don't know. Not necessarily. I mean, I'm generally pretty comfortable. I was beforehand, I guess. So I don't know. I think that here it's actually a little bit faster over the long run to not run all the way to the wall. I think, maybe right at that seam, at that top seam is kind of probably where you want to be over the long run. But I don't know. I mean, I don't have enough of a feel to really notice the difference, but I did know it was supposed to be there. But I kind of always like Kansas being able to run the wall. It's better than some of the stuff you get on iRacing where you kind of have to be on the bottom or you're screwed. Which here you almost have to be on the top or you're screwed. So, but I mean, it's definitely a different type of track for iRacing. So I generally enjoy being up there.
Yeah, it's definitely I say it's let's see for the mile and a half. So say usually you're pretty much on that white line. Can't get the tire off of it or else you're going to lose some time. Here it's like I said, you got to be up on that pretty much on that top groove to have the momentum and make those exits happen. So definitely kind of changes your strategy for what you're used to. Didn't see too much of it tonight where sometimes you'll even see drivers kind of protecting the top through the tri-oval even just to make sure they have that entry into turn number one. But yeah, so, I mean, it's definitely a different animal here at Kansas with the way this track is with the progressive banking and everything. But again, I mean, it's a good race for you. So you were in a really tight battle, or you are, I should say, really in a tight battle for that second spot between, I believe, yourself, Maxwell, Brandon. I want to say the three of you. So obviously, to kind of finish in the front of those three is going to help your point standings going into these final two as well. To say because I feel like Larry at this point he's got pretty much a stranglehold over it, but obviously you want to still get high up in the points as you can. I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. Had a little bit of bad luck, I guess, throughout, but I mean, I generally feel like I've kind of been right up there pretty much the whole season, so I've been pretty consistent. But yeah, I don't even know where the next two races are. I mean, Larry's just really good. I think his thing is he's so consistent. Like even if there's races here or there where like last week, might be one of them here or there where there's times where I feel like I may be able to be as fast as him over a short amount of time. But just over the course of a 100-lap race, track after track, I mean, it's just, I'm out there searching for things to try to get a little bit faster, and I might hit on it halfway through the race, whereas he's on it from the first lap to the last lap. So there's really not a whole lot you can do unless you just catch him on a good race or whatever, like last week. But generally, he's going to be up there. So yeah, I'm just going to try to kind of stay consistent, keep doing what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, and at least finish second.
Yeah, I mean, so you've been doing a great job. You're exactly right. I mean, you've been up in contention week in and week out. So, it's hard to do anything more than that, obviously. So, and that's about like I think it's the same thing. Like you can only really control your own destiny there. So, but yeah, I mean, a great run though for you tonight, Chad. Again, that second spot. So, definitely want to give you the floor though for any thanks, Chad, you'd like to give.
Thanks to the team, Larry, Maxwell, and Andrew. I think we all got 4 out of the top 5. Thanks to you for the broadcast. Always great to be able to go back and watch. And thanks to Area 51 and all the admins for putting it on. And again, another week of thanking all the drivers for another caution-free race. I was happy about it last week. I'd have rather had a caution at some point so somebody could have tried something. But I mean, it's a whole lot better being able to get through these and everybody kind of finishing where they deserve to finish, and not having cautions mess anything up. So it's a great job by all the drivers. So yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, so you guys have definitely put on some great races, and so yeah, there's times where it's like, oh man, like as a competitor, you want the caution, but at the same time too, you're like, ah man, but if we get a caution, it could go not the way you want it to. So yeah, it's one of those things where you want one sometimes, but at the same time, we're like, no, let's just stay green anyway.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's cautions add a lot of randomness to races where people don't necessarily finish. You could have some bad luck with cautions or good luck with cautions. And, in 100 laps with no cautions, everybody's generally kind of going to finish where they're supposed to finish. And that's kind of what racing's supposed to be about. So at the end of the day, I'd a whole lot rather go 100 laps caution free than have a caution fest. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, you guys have been doing an awesome job week in, week out. So yeah, and for your reference, tomorrow or next week we'll be at Dover, and finish things off we'll be over at Las Vegas.
Dover is not my strong suit, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, 10-4. So we'll look forward to seeing you there, though. Still, and so knowing you, I'm guessing you'll be part of that Daytona 24 up this upcoming weekend. So good luck on that as well, sir.
I will be. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, that is that 17 of Chad Wilkes. I'm going to jump over to our race winner. It says he's already doing some burnouts there on the front stretch. Let's pull in that Larry Yingling here, getting the win, winning from the pole. So I don't know. I'm a little disappointed, Larry. I don't think you led every lap because some drivers are able to go a lap or more on fuel there than you. So you're going to have to work on that in the future.
Yeah, I definitely will have to work on it.
I say, obviously, I don't think your race can go much better than that for you. Get the pole, get out to the lead, and then able to kind of just set sail from there. Was it? We were talking to Chad and Andrew. Andrew obviously having to work his way a little bit forward from that 9th starting spot. But I mean, did it feel like the clean air, was that kind of one of the things that helped you maybe manage that tire a little bit better than some of the other drivers were able to, or what did you think maybe felt like was the biggest advantage for you through the run there tonight?
Well, first off, another outstanding job by the whole league for, once again, another caution-free race. I really enjoy those and hope we can keep that up. But, yeah, I believe the clean air definitely helped big time. That first run, I ran the middle for over 10 laps or so. And I know from practice and stuff, you can't do that for over 6 laps. So that clean air definitely helped that. And pretty much the only thing that happened to me during the race was a scare in the first pit stop. I wanted to pit lap earlier because I was pretty much on fumes. But I was scared to death to pit early, a lap before Chad. This last week, Logan got us all by pitting a lap or two after us. So I'm pretty sure I stuttered right when I entered my box. And from there, somehow I got out even faster from Chad now in the first pits. Then I just tried to do my thing. I ran the bottom for most of the second run, and don't know how much that affected my right front tire, but I know Chad started closing in a decent amount before that last stop.
Yeah, so that's actually something I noticed too, even on the first run too. For a while, it seemed like you actually were kind of running more of the middle groove than going up to the very top until maybe about 15 or so laps into the race. I'm saying again that may be just the advantage of having that clean air on the nose, but I say maybe you can kind of, I don't know if you can explain the difference of at least at this track, obviously, of running that top versus middle versus bottom after those laps are worn. I mean, with the progressive banking, obviously you got that little bit of extra help on the top side. Does it seem like that's just it's just the progressive banking, that little bit extra on the top, that's what's able to kind of carry that momentum around to kind of offset the grip that those tires lose as the run goes on? Or I mean, I don't know if you can explain it better than I could at this point.
Yeah, that's pretty much the case. When you're on new tires, you can run wherever you want. The fastest way is on the very bottom on new tires, but once you start wearing out your right front, especially your right front tire, the pure force you put on that right front entering the corner, once you wear that out, it gets pretty tight. And most of the time when I was running that middle, I was kind of blipping the throttle a little bit, because I was starting to get a little bit tight, but it wasn't too much to warrant me going up top. Then once Chad started closing a little bit, I started going up top.
Yeah, it's at that point where you got to play. It's at that point, you're playing more defense really than offense. Where I'm saying that, and again, like you're saying, that the top side, that's just, it seems like, especially after those 15-20 laps, that's where the momentum up top really happens on the exit too. But I mean, yeah, like you said, so I was say so. Actually, so I was a little surprised on. I figured everybody was right on the number on the money. So I'm guessing with you leading that pack and kind of breaking the draft for everybody, that's probably where they were able to save that little bit extra to make you be a little tighter on there. We saw Maxwell. I think he tried to stretch it a lap further, and that's where he really hurt himself with the pit strategy there. Just I think I want to say he ran out maybe even. I'm not sure if it was on the backstretch or in 3 and 4 or where, but we definitely saw him coasting through the pits at the end of that first run. So that's where he had to kind of try to bounce back afterwards. So was it enough, or did it actually wind up like on your side? Did you actually wind up stalling it out where you had to get the car refired in the pits, or was it just enough to keep the engine running there at that pit stop?
It was just enough. I believe it was point 0.1 or point 0.2 laps left, so pretty much just a drop of fuel left. That end lap, I clutched it entering 3. I was like 3/4 throttle on the front stretch. I really wanted to pit that lap before, but this thing of Logan's race last week forced me to stay out extra lap. And when doing that, I saw Maxwell stay out and all of us pit. I definitely raised my eyebrows at that one, as I didn't know how much fuel he had, but considering how he was still in the pits when I went by him the next lap, whatever, and I figured he ran out of fuel, and I asked him, and
Yeah, so I'd say that's actually a really good point that you made too. And that's something I brought up during the broadcast as well, was what the pit strategy would be here based on what we saw last week. That extra lap seemed like it did play a big role. So it was interesting to see. And it was a guy, like you said, it pretty much, I want to say like the top 6 drivers, I want to say all pitted pretty much on lap 40. I want to say on the dot there. So I say a lot of people I think were in the same mindset as you, where they just at that point it's like, okay, yeah, I don't want to put that risk out there. So again, I mean, an awesome job though tonight, Larry. Like I said, just trying to finish off your season here with an exclamation point. It looks like got 2 to go here at Dover and Las Vegas. So again, I feel like at this point you can feel pretty confident about having this thing locked up. So I'm not sure. I think it was like a 50-point lead going into it. So you'll stretch it again just a little bit with the win, and of course some bonus points as well going your way. But yeah, so any preferences between Dover and Las Vegas for where your kind of your strengths or weaknesses?
Definitely in Dover. It's actually probably one of my worst tracks, but I said that about Darlington and I won. But I definitely prefer that over Vegas because you have to use the brakes and just have to wheel that car. Vegas, it tends to get tight there.
Looking forward to it. So yeah, again, congrats on the win, Larry. With that being said, though, before I let you go, definitely want to give you an opportunity for any thanks shouts you'd like to give for that win tonight.
Definitely my teammates as always: Maxwell Caldwell, Andrew Pleshy, Chad Wilkes, and I'm gonna thank you for the broadcast. Everyone for putting this league together. It's getting even better throughout the year, and I will add, this is the one track I thought the new wall physics, whatever they want to call them, would have came into effect, and I didn't feel a thing compared to Darlington. So I was very surprised with that.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. That was something I was thinking about too. I did mention it to Chad a little bit. I was thinking the same thing. It didn't seem like we didn't see anybody really running like right up against the very edge of the wall, like we maybe suspect we might with that new aero setup with the pack, like kind of packing the air, if you will, up against the wall to help give you that little bit of a margin. So we'll be curious to say, well, yeah, we'll see if anybody else is able to notice it or not in any of those other races. Obviously, I don't suspect we'll see it at Dover or Vegas, but we'll see. Maybe season 7 will have something in store where, or if iRacing has some sort of a future update as well. I'll be curious to see if that kind of comes into play a little bit more.
I believe Vegas might come into effect. Usually it's a middle or a bottom track, then you run in the middle on older tires, maybe with the compressed air if it works properly. Maybe we'll be running up against the wall on old tires, which would be pretty nice.
No, we'll have to keep an eye on that one in 2 weeks. I say that'll be our season 6 finale as well. So again, though, Larry, congrats on the win. It's an awesome job by you tonight getting that win. Saying do it in commanding fashion as well. So enjoy it, and saying we'll look forward to seeing you here again next week.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so that is our race winner, Larry Yingling, getting the job done here tonight at Kansas. However, we got to go through our final results for the race. So we talked to our top 3, Larry Yingling, Chad Wilkes, and Andrew Pleshy. Bringing it home in 4th, breaking up the teammates there is Brandon Passalacqua over Maxwell Caldwell. David Payton brings it home in 6th position. Jim Brooks in 7th with his off-pit strategy there. Again, they're going from 18th to 7th during this race without any caution, so good job by him. Jack Walls brings it home in the 8th spot. Robbie Richards in 9th, and Kyle Hess rounding out our top 10. And 11th through 19th, we got Nicholas Winnock, James Ledford, Michael Spell, Roy Grandy, Bud Steele in the 15th spot. We saw Bud try to do a little bit of an off strategy on the initial start of the race, pitting around lap 25 or so. Wound up having to pit again. Actually, looks like an additional time towards the end of the race. Unfortunately, that's what knocked him down 2 laps. And Paul Patterson, Dwight Plush, Dean Wilkinson, and unfortunately Carter Talley did not take the grid for tonight's event, but will be listed in the 19th position. So with that, that's another one in the books here tonight for the Area 51 Cup Series. Again, congratulations to all the drivers, honestly, for caution-free 100 laps at Kansas. That is not very common when you have the way you have to race this kind of track. So great job to all the drivers. And again, definitely want to say good luck to all those that are participating in the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona this upcoming weekend. It should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to being a part of it myself. So say good luck to all of those involved. And of course, as always, if you can, please try to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, and until Sunday, have a good night.